The glittering skyline of Los Angeles has always been a breathtaking backdrop for high-stakes fashion empires, passionate romances, and bitter corporate rivalries. But absolutely nothing could have prepared the city for the apocalyptic scandal that has just detonated within the walls of Forrester Creations. The glamorous, carefully curated facade of the Forrester and Walton families has been violently and permanently shattered, replaced by a chilling, dark narrative of betrayal, despair, and a mysterious disappearance that has the entire city holding its collective breath. The sudden and ominous vanishing of Daphne Rose Walton has sent massive shockwaves through the elite social circles of Los Angeles, transforming a tale of romantic entanglements into a harrowing true crime mystery. At the dead center of this catastrophic maelstrom is Steffy Forrester Finnegan, a woman who arrogantly thought she had successfully buried her darkest, most destructive secret, only to have it unearthed in the most devastating and public manner conceivable. To truly comprehend the sheer magnitude of this unfolding tragedy, one must first look deeply at the unbearable psychological torment Daphne Rose Walton had been enduring in silence. For weeks, Daphne had been suffocating under the crushing weight of a severe infertility and early menopause diagnosis, a cruel and unforgiving medical verdict delivered by Dr. Lee Finnegan that effectively annihilated her lifelong dreams of motherhood. This devastating diagnosis pushed Daphne into a deep, functional depression, leaving her feeling utterly inadequate and convinced that she was a burden, holding her beloved husband, Carter Walton, back from the family he so desperately desired and deserved. She had even packed her bags for Paris, ready to sacrifice her own happiness for Carter's sake, before finding the immense strength to return and fight for her marriage. But the universe had an even more agonizing, soul-crushing blow waiting for her in the shadows, a betrayal so profound and unfathomable that it would permanently fracture her reality and push her past the point of no return. The fragile foundation of Daphne's renewed hope was violently ripped away when she discovered the horrifying, sickening truth about the night she initially left for the airport. Through a cruel twist of fate and her own sharp, undeniable intuition, Daphne uncovered the catastrophic secret that Carter and her supposed best friend, Steffy Forrester Finnegan, had been desperately trying to take to their graves. The realization that her husband and her closest confidant had engaged in a passionate, drunken affair in the Forrester CEO office while she was drowning in the grief of her infertility diagnosis was a psychological kill shot. It was not merely an act of momentary infidelity. It was a profound, soul-destroying double betrayal that mocked her deepest pain and made an absolute mockery of the vows and friendships she held sacred. The agonizing truth mutated Daphne's profound sorrow into a blinding, icy despair, convincing her that the life she had fought so incredibly hard to reclaim was nothing but a grotesque, humiliating lie constructed by the people she trusted most. Stripped of her future, her marriage, and her best friend, Daphne made a chilling, calculated, and desperate decision. Unable to bear the suffocating agony of her reality, she penned a harrowing, visceral suicide note that served as both a final, tragic farewell and a damning, inescapable indictment of the people who had ruthlessly destroyed her. In this letter, Daphne poured out every ounce of her shattered heart and boiling rage, explicitly detailing the horrific double betrayal she had uncovered. She did not mince words to protect anyone's feelings. She painted a vivid, agonizing picture of how Steffy and Carter's selfish, lustful actions had pushed her over the psychological edge. The letter was a masterpiece of grief and vengeance, meticulously exposing Steffy's staggering hypocrisy and Carter's cowardly deceit. Daphne ensured that her final words would not just mourn her lost dreams, but would serve as a permanent, indelible stain on the souls of the two people who had driven her to the brink of oblivion. With the damning letter left behind like a ticking time bomb, waiting to obliterate their lives, Daphne Rose Walton vanished without a single trace. She left no clues, no digital footprint, and no indication of her whereabouts, creating a terrifying, gaping void that instantly sent shockwaves of panic through Forrester Creations and the Walton household. The silence she left in her wake was deafening, a haunting absence that transformed the bustling, vibrant city of Los Angeles into a sprawling, tense crime scene. As hours agonizingly turned into days, the chilling reality began to set in for everyone involved. Daphne was gone, and the ominous nature of her final message strongly suggested that she had taken her own life to escape the unbearable pain inflicted upon her. The suddenness of her disappearance, coupled with her recent, severe mental health struggles, created a perfect storm of tragedy that immediately caught the attention of the authorities and the relentless, unforgiving media apparatus. The detonation of Daphne's explosive letter occurred in the most tragic and heartbreaking manner possible, falling directly into the hands of the one man who had blindly worshipped Steffy Forster Finnegan's perceived virtues, her devoted husband, Dr. John Finn Finnegan. Finn, who had spent the last several weeks continuously praising Steffy for her honesty, her purity, and her unwavering moral compass, was the one to discover Daphne's final, agonizing testament. As his eyes frantically scanned the tear-stained pages, absorbing the horrific, graphic details of Steffy and Carter's drunken, passionate affair, Finn's entire universe collapsed in real time. Every single word he read was a jagged shard of glass, piercing the idealized, flawless image he held of his wife. The sickening realization that Steffy had been hypocritically condemning him for his perceived weakness regarding Sheila Carter, while actively harboring the ultimate marital betrayal, triggered a profound and violent psychological break within the good doctor. The aftermath of Finn's discovery was nothing short of apocalyptic for the Shin marriage, a union that many believed could weather any storm. The profound devastation etched onto Finn's face as he confronted the undeniable proof of his wife's infidelity was a testament to his soul completely and utterly shattered. He could not even bring himself to look at Steffy for another second. The mere sight of her elicited a visceral, nauseating disgust that he could not suppress or hide. All of Steffy's desperate, tearful apologies, her begging, and her frantic attempts to explain away the drunken night as a meaningless, isolated mistake fell on deaf, unforgiving ears. For Finn, the betrayal was not just physical. It was a fundamental violation of trust, a desecration of their family unit, and a cruel mockery of the vows they had fought so hard to protect against external threats. He was completely broken, his heart pulverized by the staggering hypocrisy of the woman he loved, leaving their once unshakable union in a pile of irreparable, toxic rubble. As the devastating contents of Daphne's letter inevitably became known, the Los Angeles Police Department officially launched a massive, high-profile investigation into her disappearance. What began as a frantic search for a missing, emotionally vulnerable woman rapidly evolved into a dark, complex inquiry into potential foul play, criminal negligence, or coerced suicide. Detectives swarmed the pristine halls of Forster Creations and the quiet elegance of the Walton residence, seizing security footage, relentlessly interrogating employees, and meticulously piecing together the timeline of the night of the affair and the agonizing days leading up to Daphne's vanishing. The police were not merely looking for a body. They were actively investigating the psychological warfare that had allegedly driven a beloved executive's wife to end her life. The intense, unyielding scrutiny of the LAPD cast a dark, suffocating shadow over the fashion empire, turning the glittering corridors of power into a tense, hostile environment where every whisper was analyzed for evidence of guilt. It did not take long for the explosive, salacious details of the scandal to leak to the relentless Los Angeles media. And when they did, the court of public opinion delivered a swift, brutal, and unanimous verdict. Steffy Forster Finnegan, once the celebrated, untouchable crown jewel of the international fashion industry, was instantly vilified and branded as public enemy number one. The narrative spun by the tabloids and news anchors was merciless and devastating. A cruel, entitled heiress who callously slept with her infertile best friend's husband, effectively driving a grieving, vulnerable woman to a tragic suicide. The public backlash was volcanic, with with angry protesters gathering outside the gates of Forster Creations and massive social media campaigns demanding immediate justice for Daphne. Steffy was entirely ostracized by society, her pristine reputation reduced to smoldering ashes, as she became the focal point of a massive, citywide witch hunt, viewed by millions as a cold-blooded homewrecker whose selfish actions had fatal consequences. Trapped in a suffocating, living nightmare of her own making, Steffy found herself fighting a desperate, seemingly unwinnable battle to clear her name and preserve her freedom. As the prime suspect in the eyes of the public and a person of intense, ongoing interest to the LAPD, Steffy frantically tried to prove that she had not physically harmed Daphne or orchestrated her mysterious disappearance. However, her desperate pleas of innocence regarding foul play were entirely overshadowed by the undeniable, crushing guilt of the psychological trauma she had inflicted through her infidelity. Steffy was forced to confront the horrifying reality that, even if she did not push Daphne off a cliff, her betrayal was the undeniable catalyst for her best friend's demise. The crushing weight of this realization, combined with the devastating loss of her husband and the relentless public persecution, pushed Steffy to the absolute brink of a complete mental and emotional collapse, leaving her isolated, terrified, and facing the very real threat of a lengthy prison sentence. While Steffy battled the hostile public and the probing police, Carter Walton descended into his own personalized, inescapable hell of grief, regret, and profound self-loathing. The man who had always prided himself on his unwavering loyalty, his strong moral compass, and his integrity was now a hollow, broken shell, consumed by the agonizing belief that his desperate lies and singular moment of drunken weakness had cost the life of the woman he cherished above all else. Carter was paralyzed by the horrifying thought that Daphne had died believing she was unloved, inadequate, and easily discarded by the man who promised to protect her. He haunted the empty, silent rooms of their home, drowning in agonizing memories and suffocating under the immense weight of his catastrophic failure as a husband. His professional life crumbled, his friendships evaporated into thin air, and he was left to navigate a dark, endless purgatory, tormented by the haunting echoes of Daphne's final letter and the sickening knowledge that his betrayal was the weapon that had destroyed her. Yet, in the opulent, theatrical, and endlessly unpredictable world of Los Angeles daytime drama, the truth is rarely as straightforward as it initially appears, and the profound tragedy of Daphne Rose Walton was secretly harboring a masterful, jaw-dropping twist. Hundreds of miles away from the relentless media circus, the intense police interrogations, and the shattered lives left in her wake, Daphne was not resting at the bottom of the ocean or buried in a shallow, forgotten grave. She was alive, entirely unharmed, and breathing the crisp, untainted air of a remote, luxurious hideaway far from the chaos of the city. Shedding the pathetic persona of the broken, victimized wife, Daphne had meticulously orchestrated the ultimate, flawless illusion, faking her own death with chilling precision to exact a revenge far more agonizing and complete than any physical retaliation could ever be. She had brilliantly weaponized her own tragedy, transforming her profound grief into a calculated, lethal strike against the people who had dared to destroy her heart. In her secluded, heavily guarded sanctuary, Daphne had become the brilliant architect of her own vindication, reveling in the spectacular, unprecedented success of her Machiavellian plot. With a glass of expensive wine in hand, she calmly watched the daily news broadcasts detailing the utter, spectacular destruction of Steffy Forrester Finnegan's life. A cold, deeply satisfied smile graced her lips as she witnessed Steffy being dragged through the mud of public opinion, facing the terrifying prospect of prison time and losing the devoted husband she had fought so ruthlessly to control. Daphne felt absolutely no remorse for the unimaginable chaos she had unleashed. In her eyes, this was pure, unadulterated, poetic justice. She was thoroughly enjoying the spectacle of Steffy and Carter suffocating under the immense weight of their own sins, paying the ultimate, excruciating price for the psychological trauma they had so callously inflicted upon her. The infertile, discarded wife had gloriously risen from the ashes as a mastermind of vengeance, proving that hell hath no fury like a woman subjected to the ultimate betrayal. As the dust completely fails to settle on this catastrophic and history-making chapter, the future of the Forrester, Spencer, and Finnegan families remains shrouded in ominous, terrifying uncertainty. How long can Daphne Rose Walton maintain her brilliant, deadly charade from the shadows of her remote hideout before someone stumbles upon the truth? Will the relentless LAPD uncover the reality behind her disappearance? Or will Steffy Forrester Finnegan actually end up behind cold steel bars, convicted in the court of public opinion for a murder that never truly happened? And what will become of the shattered, broken men, Finn and Carter, who are left to navigate the toxic, radioactive ruins of their respective marriages with no hope of redemption in sight? The board has been entirely reset. The stakes have been raised to staggering life-or-death proportions, and the ultimate game of psychological warfare has only just begun. One thing is absolutely certain. The glamorous, treacherous world of Los Angeles daytime drama will never, ever be the same again.